back to Good Living, and I'm so pleased to say he has made it. Lee Childs joins me now. Of course, a bit of a delayed flight from Nelson, Lee, but, you know, it's a live TV show and we're so pleased that you're able to make it.
Yeah, but it was Air New Zealand, being honest. You know, it's 10 minutes late. Any other airline in the world would call that on time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one good thing about Air New Zealand. Well done. Yeah. And I guess it made you feel a little bit like Jack Reacher, you know, trying to get to everywhere.
Yeah, just rushing straight in. Yeah, no messing about.
Yeah. Now, you have had a big tour before. You were just telling me in the break, 4 weeks, and tell us the countries that you've been to in those 4 weeks.
I started in the UK with a cancelled flight, by the way. Getting from New York to the UK didn't happen like I thought it would. So did 2 weeks in Britain, then a week in Australia, now a week here.
Goodness. And then
I go home for about 3 weeks, then I do it all again in the US.
So you must sometimes forget your own name, let alone where you are.
Absolutely, although I'm hanging on to two things. It's Thursday. Yeah?
Yes.
And it's Christchurch.
Good stuff.
Okay.
You're doing well.
Yeah.
Thursday means Christchurch. Yeah. And I know for a lot of Lee Child fans watching out there today, you'll know that Lee is talking tonight and signing books and things at different places today. So it's fabulous to have you back in Christchurch.
It's great to be back. I remember it well. It's a lovely little city.
Great. Now, Lee, 61 Hours, of course, the next in the Jack Reacher series. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with Jack, to be honest, Lee, but from what I've heard about him, he's appealing to me already. Yeah,
well, he is. He's a rough, tough guy, but women love him. Now, you explain that to me. I don't know. He's not all that hygienic. He's on the road all the time. He's a wanderer, a drifter. He carries nothing, not even a little bag. He carries nothing at all, and therefore he buys new clothes every 3 to 4 days and changes in the changing room and walks out. And then 3 or 4 days later, he changes his clothes again. And despite that, the ladies love him. Now, but I am hearing on this tour a lot of concern about this 3 to 4 day thing.
Yes.
It's probably not enough, actually, but hey, you know, it works for him.
So they're thinking that Jack needs to be just a little bit more hygienic, do they think?
They think so, yeah, but he does shower a lot. I put that in very meticulously. He showers at least every day.
Good. You know what appeals to us.
Yeah.
So he was born October 29th, 1960. Described as dirty blonde hair, those piercing icy blue eyes by the sounds of things, and he's a big guy.
Yeah, huge guy. Think sort of second row forward playing rugby, that sort of size. Yeah.
That is Jack Reacher.
You don't mess with him. Yeah.
So can you tell our viewers what happens to Jack, or a little bit about his story in 61 Hours?
Well, he is a wanderer and a loner, so he's never looking for trouble. In fact, he's looking to stay out of trouble. But, of course, trouble always finds him. And in this book, he's on a bus. He's hitched a ride on a bus, and there are 20 senior citizens on this bus on a cultural tour of the sights of South Dakota in the US, but they've gone in the winter, which is brutal in South Dakota. And the bus is in a terrible snowstorm. It skids on the ice. It crashes in a ditch. So Reacher, who's hitchhiking in the back, has got to deal with 20 senior citizens in a raging snowstorm in way sub-zero temperatures in the middle of nowhere. There's a town maybe 20 miles away, small place, but it's got some big trouble going on, and naturally Reacher gets involved.
And you have to read the rest to find out.
Yes, you do.
Did you watch a lot of MacGyver in your younger days?
Well, I watched everything and I read everything, and you're sort of right with what you're hinting there. Reacher is really part of a long line of heroes. You know, people say he dates back to the Westerns, but actually it's way before that. He dates back to the Middle Ages, or even before that. He's the knight errant, the mysterious knight who shows up on the white horse in the nick of time. He solves the problem, and then he rides off into the sunset, never to be seen again. He's a mythic character.
I think that's why we love him so much, isn't it? He's there when we need him.
Yeah, and that's why we invented that character over and over again, because we do need him. Wouldn't we like that? If we're in trouble, wouldn't we like somebody to come and sort it out and then leave afterwards so that we don't have that kind of gratitude issue?
Yeah, exactly. Good note. How long will Jack Reacher keep going for?
He'll keep going as long as people keep reading the books. You know, this is about entertainment, and I'd love to have an audience, and if the audience is still there, I'll keep writing. If the audience says, you know what, we've had enough of this guy, then I'll retire and live on the beach.
Nice, but we're still buying, and that must be a great feeling for you.
Especially in New Zealand. I mean, it's unbelievable here. New Zealand is the world capital of Reacher madness, in as much as the per capita sales in New Zealand are better than anywhere in the world.
The highest.
It's amazing.
That is great, isn't it?
It is amazing. That's why I keep coming back.
We love having you here too. Yeah. what was I going to ask you? Yeah. What I wanted to kind of find out was, being British yourself, was it hard to write an American character? I mean, you've done a brilliant job, obviously, but how was that for you, trying to define an American character?
Well, a lot of people think it must be harder than if I'd written a British character, but actually, no, I think it's easier, because if I'm writing about what is essentially a foreign country, then everything has to be thought about. You can't yo-yo back and forth between making things up and relying on what you know, and then making things up and back to what you know. You have to concentrate on everything, and I think that actually makes it easier. And I do know America very well. I'm married to an American. I've been there, I had been there hundreds of times over 20 years, and now I live there, so I know it very well. And America does not really take pains to keep itself secret. You know, it's all over the world.
So it makes it slightly easier in that regard.
Yeah, you can find out what's going on, you know, television, movies, the newspapers. I was reading the newspaper today. It's full of New Zealand news and American news, and that's the same in every country. Australian news, American news. So it's easy to find out. Does
your wife like Jack Reacher?
She's a little intimidated by him, a little scared of him, I think. You know, Reacher thinks of himself as a friendly man, and my wife sort of laughs at that. She says, "Are you kidding?"
She knows, she knows. Lee, when you first wrote your very first novel, I know that you've been writing a lot in media throughout your career. What did you do? Did you sit down and write a book? Did you take a novel writing course first? How did that happen?
Well, I lost my job. You know, what the viewers may not know is that you're wearing an earpiece now to talk to the studio control room. Well, I was the guy talking to you on the end of your earpiece, and I lost that job. I was fired because the television station reorganized itself like they do, and some of us had to leave, and I was one of them. So I hadn't planned to be a writer. I took no courses. I was just out of work and desperate, so I thought, I know, I'll write a book. Maybe that'll work. So I just sat down and wrote it in a big hurry, and fortunately it did work, which is actually very unusual, but it did, and here I am 14 books later, still going strong.
That's the incredible thing about it, that you just actually sat down and wrote a book without any kind of prior novel writing experience.
Yeah, but I think that was helpful, frankly, because I was desperate, I was broke. You know, it wasn't a hobby, it wasn't a kind of desire, it wasn't a kind of like to do it sort of thing. I had to do it hat to work.
And it has.
Yeah, it has.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Lee Child is a pen name. How hard is it to find a pen name? How do you sort that out?
Well, you know, like I said, I was fired, and I was kind of miserable at the end of the TV career, so I wanted to reinvent myself, become somebody new with a new name, which actually we do in show business all the time.
That's right.
And so I just looked for a name that would be memorable and was early in the alphabet, because people browse in the bookstore from left to right and they get fed up quickly. So if you're in the first 2-3 letters, you do better than if you're at the end of the alphabet.
Some good insight.
Yeah.
I must take a look at that next one.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, and so that's how that happened.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much, Lee Child. It's been a real pleasure to meet you.
It's been great to be back.
I hope you enjoy your very fleeting trip here in Christchurch.
I will. I'll be gone tomorrow morning, but I'll enjoy it till then.
And to all the Jack Reacher and Lee Child fans out there, of course, I hope you enjoy meeting Lee if you get the chance to do so, of course, out and about book signing today, and then, of course, talking this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.